and the host of the podcast Different Thinking for Different Times. This is season 6 and episode 9. So, my work has been about expanding this small minded thinker that we carry in our head, that little voice, you might call it. You might notice it talking to you an awful lot. And really, the gift in that is for us to overcome our ego and all those reactive thoughts that it suggests. And how do you know it's reactive? Well, number one, you're making everyone wrong around you. And number two, you've lost the connection to God, the universe, the infinite, the creator, the goddess, the Buddha, the Brahma, the Abraham, the Christ consciousness, the Mohammed consciousness. I don't care what you call it because it doesn't matter. Now, that might upset a lot of people, but I can tell you, just think about this for a second. The force, the life force that created an infinite universe that we don't understand to this day. We're still amazed by many of the discoveries of physicists. And some people have told me they don't believe we live in a universe, we've ever gone to a moon, that this is like a hologram. Okay, see, it doesn't matter what you believe. Faith is important. And knowing that whatever created this universe, and for me, it's God, is never absent, never absent. And so today's episode is titled, Where is God? And how do I find God? You don't have to search. You don't have to go to churches. You don't have to have a religious affiliation. It doesn't hurt. I think faith is wonderful. I was going to be a priest until I met someone on the high school bus, a young lady. And I knew priesthood, at least Catholic priesthood, wouldn't work. What I can tell you, though, is the infinite is never absent. How do I know that? 22 years ago, slightly over, it was November 18th, 2002, I flatlined while in intensive care at the Waltham Hospital in Waltham, Massachusetts. 1 second with 2 friends at the end of my bed, and the next second, one with everything and nothing. And that's how this universe was created. I was one with the force. Because it said that at first the universe was everything and nothing. And what I can tell you is, and I'm not trying to convince you of anything, but for those of you who have no religious affiliation and you're questioning, you're searching for God, just look around with a new appreciation. In fact, maybe every day you could wake up and have a new appreciation for everyone and everything. Maybe forget the past. Things you think people have done to you, the boss did to you, the company did to you, leave it behind. Start every day with in a fresh new way, a new perspective about everyone. Empty out what happened yesterday when somebody came by your desk and your acorn brain was offended. Just empty out every day. Just a suggestion. You got to try this stuff for yourself and prove it to yourself that it makes a difference. The work I'm sharing is that the infinite is never absent. God always walks with us, always. Right now, you want a fresh perspective about where God is? Look around your room and just be grateful. Maybe there's things you've missed for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years in your own office because you're stuck in your head and you're not grateful in the moment. And so where is God? Everywhere. Everywhere. And in your challenges and in those people that bother you and bug you the most, those are the greatest gifts. That's where God is really active, trying to wake you up to something new, something to learn, something to change. I spent many years fighting life. It was an energy of pushing for everything I wanted. And when I surrendered totally and was grateful, and by the way, that was waiting for the ambulance 5 days earlier on November 13th, 2002. One second, I was doing a seminar. I owned a license for a national sales training program. The next second, I felt like I had been knifed in the abdomen or maybe shot. And I knew I needed an ambulance. I had no choice. I needed an ambulance. And so while waiting for the ambulance in my partner's office next door to my training room, people were asking me, Steve, how are you doing? And I answered with, I don't know how my body's doing, and I'm grateful. I was grateful, which later astounded me as I reflected back on it. Where did that come from? I had been studying the power of gratitude and studying many faiths for 40 years or so after I realized I would not be a priest. Not a Catholic one, anyway. Studying all those faiths, I was searching for God. And in fact, I remember asking God after I realized I enjoyed being with women that I couldn't be a Catholic priest. I said, okay, God, so then show me what I'll do, how I will serve you. And it took a long time, almost 40 years of study. And then life hit me, God hit me with a 2x4 and whacked me off of this idea that I needed a national sales training program license. It was like a franchise. And my brain was telling me, this little brain was telling me, you could never do your own work. And it all unfolded, beginning with needing the ambulance and having a sense of God was with me. The divine, the infinite, the Brahma, the Buddha, the goddess, the Abraham, all the consciousness of the prophets, the Christ, the Muhammad, the Vedic traditions, also rooted in Abrahamic, by the way, was with me. I knew I was supported by God, although I didn't notice that then consciously. It just, looking back, that's what it was. I was in a divine moment. By the way, we can always be in a divine moment. It was just my brain separating me from the realization that God is never absent. I was separating myself from God, fighting for goals I had, being the best sales trainer, making lots of money. None of that mattered. Recently, I noticed the temptation to push again and to fight, wanting a lot of people to take my training courses and my coaching. And what I realized is, although I speak of the universe and God, when I felt comfortable with clients, understanding where they were, where their perspective was, that I was pushing again to get clients, spending money for enrollment courses and services that provide enrollment for coaches. I mean, go on Facebook or Instagram, all kinds of people offering stuff for, hey, if you're a coach, we'll help you enroll. If you go on LinkedIn, by the way, I get messages all the time from people saying, hey, Steve, we noticed you're a coach and we can help you get a lot of high-end, high-ticket clients. No, I want the best clients that are attracted to my work and my ideas. And what I realized is I've been hiding out about God, about the influence that day had on me. And by the way, all my life. When I was a young child, I would have moments of feeling this divine feeling, this presence of something otherworldly, not here in the earth, of immense love, unconditional love, but not love for my parents. This was like I was outside of my body, loving the moment and loving everything in it and feeling loved. Besides the human love from my parents, and my brothers and sisters. I was one of 7. There was lots of love in the house, not like I would feel from time to time come through me. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm coming out. I went into a restaurant on Wednesday evening to pick up food, and what was playing was I'm Coming Out. I won't sing it for you, by Diana Ross. Because I had a conversation with a client an hour before that time where he was saying to me, "What's going on with you?" And what I had been doing again was listening to this brain pushing for something. And I'm letting go of all that again, as I did 22 years ago. Stopped pushing for the national sales training program, realized I could embrace and do my own work, and it showed up in amazing ways. Even while I was in the hospital, $24,000 came in the mail, just came. 5 job offers. I never sent out one resume, never called anybody and asked for work. It just came. And then that's how it all happened, because I decided it could be this and something else. And that's what I did, my work, and I worked for one of my clients. I did both. I'm still going to do my sales training and leadership work through Southwestern Consulting, which is a God-based organization. I'm fascinated when I go to their annual global summit and there's Bible classes, and they're a group of people. I mean, because you might be thinking, oh no, a Bible thumper. They're a group of people that are embracing the divine, God, everywhere in their lives. It was an amazing experience to sit in with them, and which confirmed I was with the right work. Now, do we mention God in the Southwestern Consulting trainings in any of the materials? No, we have topics about time management and self-talk, having goals for salespeople, about the talk that they had, the way they show up in front of clients. We're teaching people things. We're helping them grow. A lot of it is self-awareness as well, and emotional quotient. And I know some of the coaches are talking with their clients about God. Because we ask people, well, do you have a higher power? We're curious. Whatever it is. What I'm telling you is, from 1 second in intensive care, the next second, I was one with everything and nothing. Immense light, immense love, unconditional love. I felt that same feeling without a body that I felt as a child. And often, many times, while growing into adulthood and as an adult, there'd be plenty of moments where I would feel that. That's being in the moment. And that's where God is, in the now. So where is God? All around you. In all the things of your life. Easy to spot in the joyous and happy times. And God is there with the people and events that really bother you. In fact, in my darkest time, 100 days in the hospital, 60 of them straight and 40 of the next 60, and 6 months out of work, came the most miraculous time of my life. I consider it, after my children and family, my greatest gifts. And my grandchildren, of course. I got a glimpse of something most people don't get. I had a life review. Only the good I had done was mentioned. Of course, when we listen to the ancient holy writings, it talks about a vengeful, angry God, and I had never believed that. An infinite creator of an infinite, growing, expanding universe is interested only in the places we fall down. We're supposed to fall down here. Of course, religion calls it sin. I call it mistakes, places we fell. Did you learn to walk without ever falling? Maybe some of you, I don't know. I doubt that most of you ever learned to walk without falling. And so that's what life is. Relax, get over yourself. If you're stuck in the past about mistakes, you're the only one in the past. And the only thing mentioned in my life review. So first it was like a scene, by the way, and a scene and a scene. I couldn't connect the events together. There was no past or future, only the now. So first was immense light, immense love, unconditional love. These words don't even do it justice. Immense grace, mercy, just a knowing. And then there was my life review and every bit of good I had done. Bought people sandwiches, gave them money, helped across the street. Family and friends, of course, that I had helped move and do things for. All the good that I had done flashed before me in my life review. No mention of mistakes or sin. I can't say I didn't have any at that time. And then there was a question. Sounded like from God. I'll do the best I can to duplicate it. Here's the question. Stay or go? And my consciousness surrendered. And I'm embarrassed to say I was 50, like no other time in my life. Fully surrendered with thy will be done. Thy will be done. Little did I know, in the Vedic tradition, that's a very powerful prayer, the most powerful prayer. I think thank you, thank you, thank you, God is a very powerful one. Anything you can do in the moment to be grateful despite what it looks like in your life, and waiting for the ambulance, I was grateful. For, I would say, 90% of the time in the hospital, I was grateful and amazed at the events that unfolded, the people that came to see me, the money that came in the mail, the job offers, the conversations I had with doctors and nurses and other people who came to see me, being grateful and expressing that gratitude. Just being in the moment. Now, there were times that Acorn Brain came back like, hey, Steve, who's going to pay the rent? And I had license fees and, the franchise to run. And there was only me as an employee. And I had a helper, and he was employed full time and would help me with some of the classes. He could not run the business full time. So the revenue when you're not training or coaching becomes zero. But $24,000 came in the mail. Now, I was earning more than that. But $24,000 was an amazing miracle, just started coming from people who heard of my circumstances. We live in a miracle. God is never absent. And in our darkest times, here was God whacking me off the wrong train track. In fact, I would often imagine myself on a train. It's funny, it would flash before me, sometimes in a dream, sometimes in a daydream, sometimes just flashed before my consciousness while I was doing some work at my desk, of me on a train and a train coming the other way, and I'd see myself sitting on it like I was on the wrong track. That was God telling me I was on the wrong track and to have faith and do my own work. But it took that 2x4, the greatest gift of my life, to get me whacked off of that stupid path of pushing and selling, calling people, cold calling. I surrendered and did my own work. I sold the business, which revenue came from that for 2 years. I wrote a book called Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life. And a few months after I was cleared to work in September, I was cleared to work in April. And by the way, the day I'm leaving the doctor's office, talk about miracles, the guy that called me in January to ask me what I was doing while I was in the hospital said, hey, what are you doing? I got a plane ticket. If you want to join us, just tell me you're coming to work for me. And I said, you know what? I just got cleared to go to work. This is God. And this was another faithful person. Mike. He used to call me Stevie. Yeah, faithful man. Doing a lot of good in the world. Called me and said, come on. I'm hiring you if you want it. And he knew I was going to do my own work on Mondays in the afternoons. 4:00, I would have a class, 4 to 6, on wake up, jump into your life. That's what it was based on, because I was honoring my non-compete with Sandler. I didn't offer sales training per se. I was offering people the gift of the outlook of living in a miracle and being grateful and sharing what I learned 22 years ago. So recently I'd gotten back into pushing, enrolling for a new website, enrolling people they were ClickFunnels. If you go on Instagram or Facebook, you see all kinds of them offering coaching. We'll help you get clients. So I enrolled in those. There I was pushing again. And today I'm just letting go. I'm surrendering. Wayne Dyer likes to say, just let it go. From nowhere, now here. You don't have to fight. And when you're fighting for something, and it could be a goal that you're pushing for, we're forgetting what Eckhart Tolle says. When you fight life, life fights you. And that was me up until 50 years old. I was like the MMA fighter of life. I was going to be the champion. I was going to defeat life. I was ignoring all the feedback I was getting from life. That's what life is. Life is feedback. God is always with us, giving us feedback. And we resist it because we've got an ego edging God out, like Wayne Dyer used to say. We've got the ego that edges God out. So today, what I'm telling you, God is everywhere, right with you now, in the car, at the bar. I didn't mean to rhyme that. If you're lamenting that life is happening to you, you're complaining, you're moaning, you're fighting, you're telling everybody how bad you have it. The gift in that is it's life urging you to become the master and leave behind the victim thinking, woe is me. God is urging you to take control. And picture this. If you were an architect, would you even consider presenting to a contractor who would build your building let me just give you a few of my ideas and you build the building? No, he creates a blueprint and then detailed blueprints for each of the foundation and the building itself, the framing, and then there's the detail plans for the wall coverings and the walls and the floors, and then the plumbing and the electrical things come together with a blueprint. So what's my question for you is, where's the blueprint for your life? God can't help you unless you start with, what's your purpose? What energizes you? What excites you? What are your dreams? Allow that. Picture it in your mind. Picture it happening with detail. So you're building a blueprint so God can help you create the building. We're co-creators with this amazing, loving presence called God for me. And it can be whatever you call it, whatever. I think Christ said there were many rooms in his Father's house. Yes, for all of us. You think that the creative force, God, like I said, for me, the quantum field, if you want, the infinite, the goddess, that created an infinite universe only made one religion? If that was the case, there'd only be one, by the way. If that was the infinite's desire, there's many so that we can all get over each other, that we can accept that there's all different ways. And just think of the view that you think your religion is right and you make everyone else wrong. That's narrow-minded. Anything small-minded didn't come from God. God is the most loving presence that I experienced. And I hope you do and come back like I did. In fact, I wish we all could experience it because we wouldn't be so petty. Not before this podcast ends, though. So where is God? Here. Never absent. Always with you. And especially, how do you find God? In the darkest times. That's where your greatest gifts are awaiting you, because it's God nudging you at first, and then eventually maybe with a 2x4, right? When people hit rock bottom, usually that's where they really commit to changing. And if you are grateful and say, okay, God, I'm grateful, thy will be done. I'm going to follow where this takes me and surrender to it. That's how you'll find God. You don't have to go read all the holy books. I mean, it's funny that we think that over 2,000 years ago, God stopped talking to us in the holy writings. God is talking to us every day. There's plenty of people still writing new books about God. But if it doesn't fit a certain religion, of course, people get angry because the small-minded humans get angry. Even if they're religious people, they get angry. I mean, we see religions wanting to kill other religions. How small-minded is that? And what we're missing is to be grateful for all the differences so we know we're alive. Contrast is a gift that God gave us so we know we're alive in this life. And then to find God, how to find God is just surrender. And remember that life is for you. Life is a friend. God is a friend. And that everything that's coming to challenge you and upset you, there's a flip side to it if you can only surrender and see it. And it could be the question, what can I be grateful in this until you can be grateful for this? But start with gratitude and realizing we live in a miracle. And think about all those synchronicities that have come along in your life that were also gifts nudging you. And all you have to do is wake up to it. Wake up to it. So I'm not starting a new religion. I'm just following through on what God gave me, that there was no small-minded thinking. This little voice in my head didn't go with me. Now, you won't discover that until you leave here for what's next, because we're energy. We're infinite. Energy is not destroyed. It's transformed. Physicists will tell you that. The quantum field, quantum particles, atomic particles, subatomic particles, they appear and disappear. They go from here to what's next and come back again. And what physicists are learning is that in the super collider experiments, as some of the atomic particles acted differently, even though they replicated all the same protocols, the results were different, and they realized it was because there were different people in the room. The observer effect. Google it, the observer effect. That's the goal, is to become the observer of your life, become grateful and know that God is never absent, always with you. You don't have to search. You don't have to go looking. And there's great messages in the holy books, but when you hear all of those books talking about, and the vengeance shall be mine, and then the staff was crashed into the ground and everyone died, those are where our little brains come in. The humans are stuck with revenge and vengeance and anger. That's human, and we can overcome it. That's the beauty. It takes training. It takes a lot of work. You can train this mind. That's what I do in my coaching. And my coaching is about understanding life is happening for you and that God is in it, whatever you call it. Because I don't judge anybody what they call it. Whatever faith they have is good, something bigger than them. And they can find God's love by being grateful. And where is God? Like I said, everywhere. Take a break and be grateful and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Thy will be done. Now, if you have any questions for me, you can email me. I have a book here that I can show you my email address. Let's see. Right here. If you, Steve@stevelentini.com, Steve@stevelentini.com. Here's a book I just wrote, In Plain Sight, Learn to See What Most People Miss and Embrace Life as It Is. If you want to buy that book, it's on stevelentiniauthor.com or amazon.com. And I tell stories about people that woke up to what life was showing them. And they were making it extra work because they were resisting it. They wanted it their way. I'm going to have it my way. And I understand that consciousness. I was in it. I was in it recently again after having had this amazing life experience of passing away, intensive care. 1 second with 2 friends at the end of my bed, the next second, one with everything and nothing, the source of the universe. You have to prove this to yourself. Don't take my word for it. Try it. Take some gratitude breaks. Look around. Acknowledge God in everything around you. Certainly in pets and animals, but even the bugs. Everything is God. And maybe coming to wake you up, you have to look at life as a gift. And life is always God. I'm writing a new book called, here, I'll show you the draft of the cover. Maybe you can see that. 24-Hour Good News, The Infinite Walks With You. And that's basically what nearly dying taught me about life is part of the subtitle. The infinite always walks with you. You can see the, here, let's get the microphone out of the way. There's the front page of the cover right there, the front cover. Here's the back cover. The infinite always walks with you. And I have a website, 24-Hour Good News. And I'm urging people to share their good news stories because that's what will reinforce more and more good. And how do you feel when you do good? Think about that. How do you feel when you do good? Do you ever wonder why? Because it's what God wants us to do here. Overcome that acorn brain that wants us to be angry and be right, which is an elitist view. God is not elitist. I don't think he'd be in any of our political parties because everybody's doing this, pointing the finger. I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, they're wrong. They're wrong. You're wrong. Wanting to be right is that little acorn brain, the ego, because we forget it makes everyone around us wrong. How about just being appreciative? I'm appreciating all the differences today because it helps me understand and grow. I have to consider somebody else's opinion. How did they get there? And it's okay, whatever opinion they have. I like to consider all of them. Because it's how I come to a new understanding. God is never absent. Where is God? Always with you. How to find God? Be grateful in the moment. You don't have to do a lot of studies, and you can. I recommend you read The God of Spinoza. Baruch Spinoza wrote it in the 1600s. You'll be amazed at what he wrote. And it's very similar to what I experienced. God wanting us to enjoy this life, embrace each other, appreciate each other, learn to appreciate the contrast and the conflict in life because it's there to get us to learn and grow something new, find a new way. And in your darkest times and in your challenges, God is most prevalent. There's no difference. God is never least present and most present, but in your life, that is where God is really active, trying to wake you up. Those are events to be grateful for. As I told you, I was even grateful waiting for the ambulance. And as I looked back on it, when I got out of the hospital, I realized I was experiencing the presence of God right away, immediately, while waiting for the ambulance. Have some gratitude. Take a gratitude break. Reflect on all the blessings you have in your life. Look back on your past and all the things that you thought were bad or negative or challenging or hurtful, and see where they've led you. See if it didn't turn out to be the hand of God to help move you, teach you. There have been many people I'm grateful for today that I wasn't years ago. I realized they were my teachers because they really bothered me. Today, I'm grateful they came along. They taught me a lot how not to be. Many taught me forgiveness. And I know I'm teaching people forgiveness. I've taught many over the years. So that's what I'm urging all of you to do. Don't go looking for God. You don't need a search. Be grateful. God is with you, never absent. That's where God is. And how to find him or her, because it doesn't matter what you call it. Just be grateful. Surrender to the moment. Let go and appreciate. Even if you have to take a few breaks during the day and remind yourself, wow, I'm surrounded by a miracle. I have my cat in my office, one of my dogs. They're miracles. They're amazing, filled with love. Again, you got to prove this to yourself. And I wish you waking up to the beauty that life is in every moment and that God is never absent. And with that, I'll say thank you and join me next time